What's good in the hood, and welcome back to another episode of the Good in the Hood podcast. I am, as always, your host, Juice. Joined this week with another amazing guest, man, Tressie, from TMC, RunTMC, founder of the Through the Crate podcast. Now in the streaming world, I actually discovered, not discovered, I don't want to say discovered, but heard of RunTMC Tressie through my homie MF and Mello. I saw an interview you did with him. I was like, damn, this podcast is super dope. And that literally was one of the podcasts that sparked me to start my podcast last year. So I want to, I didn't give you your flowers before when I talked to you, but I definitely want to give it to you now. How you doing today?
I'm good. I just got off of work, just walked my dog and made sure I came through to, show some love to you. And you showing me some love. Thank you for having me on the show, man. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Your vibe is dope as always. I see the elements. I want to get into like your history with through media, your history through your taste in music and all these amazing things. I guess we have to kind of start off with the introduction I had to you, and that's Through the Crate. Can you just talk about like what inspired you to get into the podcasting world, and also just kind of like the landscape and how it's grown since you started? You had 100+ episodes, so from the time you started till now, just talk about how podcast world has kind of grown.
Sure. So we started, me and my cousin Cedric, we both kind of co-founded the podcast Through the Crate, and our tagline is digging through cultural and current events through the hip hop lens. So the reason why it happened, or reason why we started doing is because me and my cousin have always done music together. We've always talked about music. I mean, he's a trombone player. He also had a band. On my part, I'm a saxophone player, and I've played in other people's bands. So like between the two of us, we were always talking music and stuff like that. We used to try and make beats and stuff like that together. And we just decided, like, towards our older age, so early 30s, we were just like always talking about music whenever we got together. I was like, you know what we should do? We should just turn this into a podcast. And so we did that. And we started in my cousin's kitchen. We just started recording. I had a lot of the equipment already because I was doing music. So I had like a mixer, I had an audio interface, I had mics, stuff like that. So I was like, we could just do this right here. So we started that 4 years ago, and we have 130 episodes now. Those are still out. Those are still on all platforms. So like, was it Anchor, Spotify, all those places that's still out there. But yeah, it was awesome just because I'm always talking music. I love music. Music was my first love, is my first love. And me, being a musician myself, it's just, I'm always curious to see what people are putting out there, and what they have to, like, provide, like the art industry as a whole.
Absolutely. And I always love, my favorite podcasts tend to start from friends, family, people who know they have engaging conversations and they want those conversations to be public, rather than those who are just out for the monetary gain. And like, for instance, this podcast starts me and my friends doing just regular old talk. So I definitely want to know, like, what were kind of those classic hip hop or music conversations you and your cousins exchanged that sparked Through the Crate idea?
It was always like, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that? And then I'd be like, yeah, I heard that. And we both found like our love for Kendrick, of course. We're both Kendrick stans. So like, we would always talk about, like, he was really like meticulous with the lyrics. And I would say I would be really meticulous with like the music portion, like the production. So he would always dive in and find things like throughout Kendrick's, like basically other stuff, but like throughout Kendrick's catalog, me and him would always just dive in and do that. Sorry, that was the question, right? You just want to know, like,
yeah.
Okay.
You good? Like, Kendrick's a great person to have. Because Kendrick has a very layered sound and very layered catalog.
And so like we would always just go back and forth. So those were the conversations that we would have. We would just be like, he would be like, I remember when he first like when I first heard Duckworth, or when I first heard How Much a Dollar Costs, like those songs to me are amazing. And like I don't really get those memories when I have, like, a lot of people be like, I remember exactly where I was when I heard A, B, C, D. I don't have those
Yeah.
memories a lot of the time. I just know how the music kind of makes me feel, but I don't ever always know exactly where I was. But for these songs, I do. And he also does, but he's got even further, like, his memory goes even more beyond. He remembers like being in my black Honda Civic back in Oakland and listening to like Good Kid, Mad City and stuff like that. And that was like, that's years ago.
Right.
So, but yeah, me and him would just always have these conversations like that. We would always dive into what is something that he would say that he would always make me privy to something. I think it was in How Much a Dollar Cost. He didn't make me privy to like he was speaking to God, but like through the story that in How Much a Dollar Costs, Kendrick is trying to get into his car, but there's this homeless person there. um I don't think he told me about like the homeless person being God, but I think he was telling me about different like perspectives and stuff. Like he just always thinks about music in a different way, and that's what I
Right.
think when we talk, that's why it's always so interesting, because like, yeah, we have very similar tastes, but he has a different perspective on those tastes. So that's kind of,
I'm assuming he listens to Damn in reverse.
yeah. He was a huge Damn fan, and like my favorite Damn is great, but mine is still To Pimp a Butterfly. And
Likewise.
so and like he loves Damn, and I think he had to put me on to some of the concepts in Damn as well, like because he's really meticulous about combing through those lyrics, because he's a
Mm.
lyricist himself, so he
Mm.
knows what those things are. And so like me, I'm just like, I get torn, like when Duckworth comes on and you flip that shit on my head, I'm like, because that one, Duckworth, is as great of a story it is, it's also very surface,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so
It
that's
really
something
is.
that like you can digest, but it was so well executed. But there's other things like I don't know, what is another song on Damn?
On Damn,
Um
Fear, Feel,
yeah, Fear.
Pride,
I want to say like, what's the one, X?
XXX
Yeah,
with you
XXX.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he'll dive into
It.
those
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. It's
And no.
that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And I'm kind of curious. Like you said that you don't have those moments of going back, remembering X, Y, Z, and
Mm-hmm.
where you discovered this, that, and the third. But do you attribute that at all to maybe your music, your musicality, like the fact that you? Well, I know you say your cousin's also a musician, but like, do you think it's
Mm-hmm.
also attributed to the fact that you more so care about the sonics of it all, and then like,
Mm-hmm.
is that
I
is that,
th-
is that the case?
I think I would attribute to that, but I'd also attribute it to me having like a bad memory. I do have a bad memory. It's not the worst, but it's not great. It's like very mid. My memory's mid.
Do you
But
remember the first album you ever bought?
yes.
What was
So
it?
that is a question that we ask
Okay,
every person we interview on Through the Crate.
that's
So
dope.
yeah, so I know that one. And I had to think about that when my cousin was like, we can ask them what their first album was. And I was like, oh shit, what the
What was
fuck was
yours?
the one? Mine was Rough Riders Volume 1.
E.
Rough Riders Volume 1.
Jay-Z's on
Yep.
that one. Hove is on there. Okay. That's a good album.
Yes. I think
That's a good
that
album.
one, I think I bought like, now that I think about it, like I just got a flash, and I think all the albums that I actually bought that were CDs were black and white, because I bought The Dynasty, Jay-Z's The Dynasty
I bought
back
Dynasty as
then.
well. Yeah, I bought Dynasty too. Dynasty was one of the first one I ever bought was a Aquemini, 98.
Aquemini, nice.
I didn't. I bought it, but I was 8, so I was like doing something with my dad and just walking through. I think Toys R Us or Best Buy or something. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, Rosa Parks Elevators is an amazing song. I love these. I love
Yeah.
these guys. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. And when you talk about like the elements of podcasting you guys also did some great interviews, as I mentioned a little bit beforehand, as far as your interview with Meth and Mello. Like, how'd you guys get into the idea of doing interviews? I'm trying to get more into interviewing myself as I'm interviewing you. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious to what sparked that idea.
I think what sparked that was just us like just wanting to expand and progress a little bit more. We did have like we would talk about music all the time, and we what I know our tagline was digging through cultural and current events through the hip hop lens. So we would talk about everything from politics over to, you know, what's happening with the new Cardi B shit. Like, like anything. Like
Right.
it was a broad spectrum. But I think what happened is that we really liked diving into the specifics of albums, and who better to do that with the person that created it, and we were also getting kind of like commissioned, or not commissioned, but what is it, like we're getting emails about people that wanted to be interviewed. And so we went ahead and we just kind of fell into it. It was like a natural progression, because we didn't go into it with that like goal in mind.
Right. Wasn't the
But yeah,
intent.
we had great interviews. We had Kalechi on there. We had motherfucking Mello. I mean, we did the All-Star Out West party, or after party. So we had like Pivot is, and being at VSOP, that's where we recorded our podcast. That is also where Pivot had a studio room. So it was kind of easy to go in and out and just be like, yo, like, come on through, So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
dope. That's dope. So, and when you look around, like especially Chicago,
Mhm.
and creating the podcast scene here, when you were able to reach out to these Chicago artists, like what about Chicago music do you feel like doesn't why doesn't it get the mainstream shine that so many other areas get? Do you think?
I think I'd have to disagree. I think it
You
does
do?
get the mainstream shine. I mean, you have the Chance the Rappers, but you have the Polo G's, you have the Dirks. Um, so I think it does get some shine, but I don't know if you saying like,
Not necessarily. I guess is the right word. I guess, but like
mhm.
none of the Chicago artists are like Chicago artists. Once they pop, it's like they're not Chicago anymore. It feels like, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, well,
Like Polo G, right? Polo G is a great example of that to me. Like even though Polo G's from Chicago, that sound is now kind of just hip hop sound. Like
hmm,
even though that sound is of course drill comes from Chicago,
yeah,
that sound is now just so universal in hip hop space right now
hmm.
that you really can't tell the difference.
I think that is, you could blame that on the internet,
Okay,
because I mean
that's
that
fair.
that has happened. Take the Bay Area for example. The Bay
Mm.
Area had a sound, LA took it, and then the world ran with it.
Atlanta too, yeah,
Exactly. I mean, Atlanta
yeah,
has a sound, and the world ran with it. New
yeah,
York
for
has like
sure.
a sound, the world runs with it. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
that's just the nature of hip hop. Like, whenever you contribute something to it, be ready for it to be used, because I mean, hip hop is based on the sample as well. Like,
Absolutely.
so if we think about it in that way, like, you got to expect that these things are going to be reused and reused and reused. I do think that, but like, Chicago niggas are different. And I'm not even from Chicago, you know what I mean? And I
Right.
apologize if I'm not supposed to use any type of wording like that. But
No, you good. Come on, you good.
yeah, okay. But yeah, I'm from Oakland, California. So when I moved out here 7 years ago, my cousin moved out here like 13. Like, I was opened up to a whole new world, a whole new brand of, for lack of a better word, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And like, y'all some real motherfuckers out here. And I was like, I can
Yeah,
respect that. Like, I moved here because it reminded me of Oakland. I moved to actually Pilsen, and I'm from East Oakland. So if anybody knows where Fruitvale is, like, I'm kind of I'm used to like seeing a lot of what, like, those areas are very similar. So
right.
um so yeah, like, Chicago is a real city. And I don't know, like, it has its own distinct sound, no matter that people are all trying to, use it. Like, nobody's gonna say fries or five, or like the way that y'all got that draw. Like, nobody's, you gonna know when somebody's from Chicago. Nobody's gonna say it like y'all. Nobody's gonna like do it like y'all. You know what I'm saying? Everyone can
That's
try and
fair.
use the sound, but when you couple that drill with the way that Chicago motherfuckers talk, then you know
Absolutely,
everybody else is
absolutely.
goofy. Hey.
And mention everyone's goofy. That's definitely Chicago slang right there.
Exactly.
But and you mentioned through the crate. You did 130 episodes.
Yeah.
What
Hmm.
made what made you guys walk away or put a pause? What
Hmm.
is the status of it as we speak?
Well, the status of it's not on pause. It is discontinued indefinitely, I guess. I don't know. So the podcast was amazing. And but last year, I mean, the whole pandemic has really thrown a wrench in everybody's everything, some
Sure.
people have flourished through it and some people haven't. I it For us and the podcast, it was great, but we had to kind of lay it down because it was just, I mean, there was too much going on throughout, from George Floyd passing and all of the things, like just a lot of activism, like not active, just like social justice issues coming up. Um, it was heavy on our hearts. And like, if anyone ever listened to the podcast, we made a point to talk about these issues because they affect the hip hop community. They like from policy to to everything, And so
Absolutely.
I think it just kind of took a toll on us. And um, there were some like slight creative differences, but that's my cousin, that's my family. Like that's not even like an issue, not creative, but like there were just some differences there.
Right.
But so we just kind of had to, hang up the hat. But we had a really good run. 130 episodes was
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure, for sure.
You
And
know,
and like what it does, and what I think a lot of this new world of media, of entertainment, however you want to call where we are right now, as far as
yeah,
streaming, the streaming world, from
right.
podcasting to even music, like
Hmm.
everything we do right now is a platform for what we do next.
Yeah.
In a sense, I don't feel like I don't feel like anything is permanent. Nothing should be permanent. We got
Hmm.
to continue evolving forever. So
Hmm.
as I say that, you've evolved now into this Twitch space,
Yeah.
which quarantine has it blew up in quarantine, because
Hmm.
everyone's at home. Everyone needs to watch stuff, and Twitch is an opportunity to watch people play video games, play music. Talk about what your Twitch channel is, and what got you over there.
Sure. So my Twitch channel is RunTMC 3215 on Twitch. RunTMC is like everywhere on my socials. So I what I did is I like playing video games. I'm a multifaceted woman,
Absolutely.
I like playing video games. So I was like, fuck it. If I'm gonna start playing video games, might as well stream it. And I've only been streaming for about 6 months, and I have a good following. I have a nice little community that I stream to. And but yeah, I think I just got into it just because I needed another creative outlet. Like the podcast was done for a minute. I took my time off because I mean we did that podcast for years. So um, I had to take some time off. Took some time to really figure out what I really wanted to do, and I started playing video games. I was like, oh, I could do this. So that's pretty much like how I transitioned over there. And then like I also just realized that I like to build things. I like to build things up from the ground up. We built the podcast from the ground up, from the logo, from the tagline, from the name. Like all of that stuff was me and Cedric just, going in, hitting the ground running. And from my my and with my Twitch, it's the same thing. Like I realized I really like just creating something and creating spaces for one, real conversations, and two, I need a creative outlet in general. So I'll make beats on there if I haven't really done it so far, but I plan to make beats on there. I'll play video games. I'll have real discussions. Like the other day I had a discussion about um one of the a top white streamer said the N word, and then a top black streamer asked him to like, you know, not say it, or like try, basically got flack for saying, yo, make a public apology for saying it. And
Right.
so I talk about those real issues on my stream too. Like I'm always going to be about real issues. I'm always going to be about fuck capitalism. I'm always going to be about shit like that. So that's kind of like what made me kind of transition, because I needed to have an outlet to say some things, but I also just wanted to play video games, you know?
Absolutely. It's like a
Yeah.
best of both worlds type of thing there for you,
Yeah.
which is super dope. And do you ever integrate your because you, like you said, I see the piano there, you
Yeah.
play the sax. Is the music integrated into the Twitch as well?
Yes, it is. I do very, very bad freestyles over whack ass 80s style beats.
I don't believe it. It can't
What
be
you
whack.
hear is not a drag. I'm a repping to the beat.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I just be doing shit like that. I get into my 80s like flow, and because that's the only one that helps me to think. Like, I don't know how rappers freestyle off the top. Like, that's the only cadence I could do and actually think about the next line. Like, that shit is hard. That shit is hard. Man, but yeah, I do incorporate it. I use my my machine, and my MK3 for like as a soundboard. I also use this just, every now and then I'll try and make a beat in between games if I can. Like, I try and incorporate all the skills that I have, even though I'm a jack of all trades. Like, I'm not a master at any of these things, but I try and incorporate it to make it a nice community for people to come through, enjoy themselves, and have some fun and have some laughs.
Let's talk about the Run TMC moniker, the quadruple entendre that it is. I think we discussed it. Like, it's like connected to, like, let's go ahead. Let you take the wheel on that one.
Sure. Run TMC. I've had that moniker for a while. I want to say ever since I fell in love with hip hop. On my brown sugar. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Ever since I did that. So it's just my TMC is my initials. And it initially was a play on Run DMC in my love for hip hop. So that's why I have that on all of my social anything. But I also learned later, since I am a Warriors fan, that it had to do with Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullen, and Mitch McConnell. What? No,
not Mitch McConnell.
No, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Mitch Richmond.
I was like, Mitch McConnell. Who?
That's a sick ass lineup.
Oh, yikes!
Tim Hardaway, Mitch McConnell. Oh man,
ass motherfucker. Fuck that dude. Anyway. So yeah, so like it's a Warriors thing, and then it's also a play on Nipsey Hussle. The Marathon continues. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Nipsey Hussle was like one of the only celebrities I've ever shed a tear for when they passed, which is interesting.
That's real.
Because if I don't know you, I'm not really shedding a tear. I'm gonna feel sorry, but I'm not shedding a tear. So that was interesting.
Nipsey just was one of the ones that. I think it was just so different. It was just so different because we were all like seeing Nipsey's like progression, like in the moment. Like that album just came out. The Victory Lap was just huge. You got Grammy nominated.
Yeah.
Like all these amazing things, and then what? Nipsey Hussle was what?
Right.
Him and Kobe were like the two most shocking deaths I've had. Like it was it just made no sense. And
R.I.P. though.
And going back to the Run TMC real quick, I guess there's a quadruple entendre to it because you also got your 80s flow, so it's also the Run DMC effect.
Yeah, well. I didn't say that? Sorry, Run DMC.
Run DMC. You got your initials, you got Marathon Continues. That's super dope. That's super dope how that came apart. And with that branding, do you see yourself like, do you foresee what's next with the twist? Do you see yourself doing merch? What's next as far as?
I have some merch, actually.
You have some merch. Okay, let's talk about it.
So the name of my community is the Good Vibes Collective. And so I have an emote in my stream. If you sub to my stream, you have access to an emote that just says good vibes. And that's just basically all I ask for whoever that comes through. You'll see that is a theme for most of the streams. But that one I'm generally I genuinely like feel is a big part of what has built my community so far, is just that me being one real, honest, upfront, and just always trying to put those vibes out there, like those good vibes. So the Good Vibes Collective is the name of our community, and we have merch that says Good Vibes. I can shoot you a link if you want to see what it looks like.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's very, very simple at the moment. But yeah, that's so we have. I see the stream going far. I mean, so far we've been getting a lot of love on a couple of my YouTube shorts. So so that's
subscribe. Guys, subscribe to your YouTube. I know you have the YouTube. I got to subscribe to the YouTube.
Hey,
for sure.
Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm trying to. That's one thing about being a content creator, is that you have to attack all social media outlets.
Absolutely. And that's the most painful part of it all. Okay.
The worst. I'm not, anybody will tell you, I hate social media, but
Yeah.
every time, so I used to be the social media manager of a community, UBG. I used to be, and then, and they wanted me to come on, they approached me to come on, or I approached them to come on, excuse me. And but I didn't know what role I wanted to do. They were like, oh, you should be social media manager. Your social media is dope. And I'm like, how? I barely be on that. Like, I feel like I barely be on that thing because a
Right.
lot of people like be on their social media 24/7. I can't do it.
24.
I cannot do it. But
That's the main
so
reason I couldn't do Clubhouse. The Clubhouse thing, I gave it 2 weeks of my time. I was like, I cannot do this. Y'all,
I'm
this is
telling you,
all.
get on there. Get on there. If you trying to
I got to. I got to. I got
find a
to.
way. Find
I
a
got
way.
to. I
But
was on
but
there for. I was on there for the first 2 weeks. Like, man, this is a lot of my time. But
it's, you
I
know
see the
what?
value.
What I found, like, but that's something that's actually helped me grow my stream is that I found a lot of like, because there's the space for us, for Black folks is there's always like a very small number of us amongst a large number
Yeah.
of others. And
Yeah.
so when you find those other Black folks that are trying to like help each other out and get, like build on things, it really helps, and Clubhouse has really done that. Like, I've been a part of a couple of like clubs that are really really good for podcasting and for twitching Twitch,
I did
you
that
know what I
all.
mean?
Yeah, you got that from me. I did the twitching thing like all last time.
But yeah, like, and like, I'll send you, if you do get in, I'll send you
Yeah.
a link to this one clubhouse. But
Oh,
if you do
sure.
get back on it, but it's called the Black Twitch Collective. It's one of my favorites. um they're very like, the whole like Discord is amazing. Everyone's always trying to help each other out. Like, it's the vibe in there is just immaculate. It's awesome. But
Word.
that's the one reason why I would use Clubhouse is just um helps you to
So,
network a lot. And that's the one thing, when you are doing things like this, networking is fucking essential, and I hate it, but
literally, networking is the only reason I have social media. Like, I really hate,
yeah.
like, social media breaks are like my favorite thing to do nowadays. Like, just
Hmm.
give me a 3 days off. Delete these apps
Yeah.
from my phone. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's an amazing
I
three
don't I
days each
don't touch
time.
I barely touch my social media on the weekends because that's normally the times that I'm with my girl. And so like, if I'm with my girl, I'm trying to put my phone away. Like, I'm
Right.
done. Like, I don't want to
Right.
be I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't, say nothing.
100%. hundred
Yeah.
percent. And you saying like you having the foresight to see the Twitch movement grow. Like, when did you get into Twitch?
Mm, I want to say I've been getting into Twitch because I wanted to play more video games. So, and
Mhm.
I've always watched people play video games. Like, I used to be an avid Fortnite watcher. Like, I would just
Okay.
watch people play video games while working throughout the day. I loved it. And so I think, sorry, what was the question? I just
No,
blanked.
no, no, no. What got you into Twitch and how long you've
Into
been
Twitch.
actually?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah.
You good.
My bad, bro. It's been a
You
long
good. You
day.
good. You good. It's good.
um but yeah, so like, I think that's what got me into it, is that I was just like, oh, I watch this shit all the time. Maybe somebody might want to watch what I'm playing. And so I just noticed that I was watching a lot of people play Warzone, and I got obsessed with Warzone the same way I got obsessed with Fortnite. And I could not build on Fortnite for shit. I couldn't play it. I couldn't do it.
No.
It was not easy for me. I couldn't do it. So, but I'm good at shooters, and there was no building to be had in Warzone. So I was like, I could go on here and just kind of try and get better. And that's basically what I did. I just started playing Warzone online. I started looking for different Discords. I mainly wanted to play with Black female gamers. So that's another thing that, like, I got in Discords. It's another thing I'm gonna tell you. I'm not sure if you're familiar, and if you're
Mhm.
not, I'll put you on. But Discords are another thing that you can use to grow yourself and whatever outlet you're trying to get out there,
Cool.
whatever content you're trying to put out. I found this Discord called Gaming While Black, and it's a bunch
Mm.
of women in there, and they are just all so supportive, showing you like what games are here, etc. And actually met my moderator for my stream through that.
Oh
and
shit.
and so like, it's just, um that's kind of like how I got into Twitch, is just because I had a love for watching it. I wondered if anybody wanted to watch me try and get good at these games.
Absolutely. And I definitely get some joy from you, I guess, regarding the Twitch thing, because I'm looking into, like, I have a Twitch account, but it just sits there idly by. I tune into things every once in a while, and I have a StreamYard on my computer. I can just get StreamYard and of course go live on my podcast. I'm kind of curious, like, what are the tools you need for Twitch? What are the tools you need to stream?
So you need the software. So you can either use Streamlabs or OBS.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Streamlabs is a very good introductory product. However, once you start to get the hang of things, OBS is better because there's more customization. I think it runs better on your computer, etc. The only thing I think you need to get started on Twitch is one, a personality, um, two, um, an understanding of metrics too. So if you're really trying to grow on Twitch and understand things, I think you need to have an understanding of metrics and a strategy behind what you're trying to do. Because a lot of people that start on, well, let me go ahead and I'll go back to that. Let me stick with equipment. You need a so you need a camera, you need that software, and then I think that's it. Because I think people want to see who they're interacting with. I think that's a huge thing for me. Like if I see people that don't have a cam, sometimes it kind of turns me off because I want to build a connection, and I can't
Right.
really build a connection with the game, you know. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, so that's kind of the equipment. But I think on the other side of things is well, fuck, now I lost that thought. um
On the strategy side of things, I think you meant,
yeah,
like, the
strategy, there
strategy.
you go. Like you want to make sure that if you are trying to grow, that you don't stream for too long with too few viewers, but also, so it's like trying to make sure that you find a balance between streaming for fun but also paying attention to what your goals are. So if you have a goal of growing on Twitch, you need to pay attention to what your metrics are, how many people are watching you, and how long you're streaming for per stream. If you don't give a fuck about all that, go on there and just stream and have fun with whoever the fuck comes through. Like, I think that's also awesome. But me being an analyst, I'm always going to worry about this part of it. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what I do by day. I'm an analyst for an advertising company. So, like, I'm
You know
always
what you're
going to
talking
worry.
about. You know what you're
Yeah,
talking
I'm always going to worry about
about.
metrics. I'm always going to worry about the numbers. So, um, but yeah, but I think but that's also fun for me. That's what,
Right.
so
It's a
finding
game
that
in
balance,
itself.
finding that sweet spot. So those are some of the things that I think you should do. Um, and then
So,
try and find your tribe. You know what I mean?
mm,
I stress this to a lot of people. Like, I think, and then I'll jump off this soapbox after this.
you're
But
good.
I
You're
think one
good.
of
You're
the
good.
reasons why I've grown, and I'm not going to say I've grown fast, but I think I've grown quite a bit at a good pace, is because I gave no fucks. Like all the fucks went out the window, and I decided to just do things the way I saw fit and be who I wanted to be on stream. And I think that is what attracted a lot of people to me. Yeah, I did the legwork of like trying to find people to play
Right.
with, but I think that's also why people are still coming through and still following my stream, is because I'm authentically me, and I'm also just trying to make sure, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure everybody's having a good time. But
Did
yeah.
you find a lot of your 3D Crate audience follow you over to Twitch, or did you have to recreate yourself in a way?
Um some of them did. I wouldn't say a lot. We didn't have the largest audience anyway. I mean, I'm not going to throw through the crate down like that. Like we had a good audience, but I think a lot of them did. But this is a different aspect because I'm gaming, and
Mm,
I'm gaming a lot. I'm not talking about hip hop a lot. You know what I mean? On there, so it's
right.
like two different audiences. But I did find that some of them did follow. Not a
That's
lot, but
dope.
some.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
And do you find that this audience is more engaged? Is more That's
Yep.
amazing. That's
Yep.
amazing.
This audience also, I mean, you can also, it's a lot easier to actually make a living off of this too. So, um, like you have subscribers, you have followers, and people that subscribe to you can that means that they can pay anywhere from $5 a month to $25 a month for your content. And that's really dope. And you get half of that. Half goes to Twitch, half goes to you. So that's really dope. I mean, also that you got to pay taxes on that at the end of the year, but that's another thing. But I think it's an easier way for you to make it your job via platforms like Twitch versus stuff like Anchor and podcasting, because podcasting, all you make money on is ads, and they don't want to give you ads unless you have the eyes on your shit. And how hard
100%.
it is to get people to listen to podcasts, it's insane.
Yep. Yep.
It's insane. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like with that, like I definitely, since you mentioned you're an analyst and you were able to kind of have the foresight and just see where Twitch was going and also kind of see the struggles that come with podcasting. What do you think of the forever growing podcast space, where it's like what 3,000 they said made a day or some shit like that? Like, what do you think of the podcast space right now, or the media space?
I think it's cool. I think, like, I understand, like, things like it's gonna get crowded, but that happens all the time. Like, we're in the internet age. One thing happens, it's gonna blow up. Like, everyone can find out about it. Just like when we were talking about music, like with Chicago, like the Chicago sound is now hip hop sound.
Yep.
Once it's out there for people, it's gonna be, people get into it. It's gonna spread like wildfire. And I think that's what's happening with the podcast space. Now, it sucks because it's a lot. I just find it a lot harder to get people to listen to 30 minutes of people talking at minimum, right? Because our episodes were an hour. I don't see how anybody does a podcast episode less than an hour. It's hard.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Like, how do you get into the conversation? Do you just have like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's insane to me. So you probably only stick to one topic if you do that. So yeah, I think having
It's
people
probably just
listen,
one person too. Probably just one person talking.
exactly. Like, conversations can go anywhere, especially when you're genuinely curious and genuinely like inquisitive. And
Right.
that would happen all the time for me and Cedric, because we both ask questions all the time. Me and Cedric, my cousin. I don't know if I said his name on here yet, but yeah. But yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's very hard to get people to listen to podcasts. So having that space growing, it's getting more competitive, but which, I don't know. I don't even know. I think it's good and bad. It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
Absolutely.
Especially with celebrities getting into it.
That was my next question. Like, as far as celebrities, these big conglomerates like Spotify, as podcasting becomes, like, not even becomes, it is mainstream now. Like, do you see that? Do you see it tarnishing a podcast, and do you see the space maybe backtracking back to normal? Or do you see something else coming about next? Like, maybe Twitching is the next thing. Do you see that going that way? When I said Twitching again, I mean streaming.
It's all good. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Because my biggest fear with podcasting right now is for me, like, is when I look at these conglomerates. Like, I remember a couple years ago that iHeart brought their first podcast awards, and Breakfast Club was nominated. Of course, like, Breakfast Club is a radio station, which whatever. But like, that's not a podcast. And next thing you know, that's like a regular thing. Like, now, like, inside the NBA, like after NBA game with Charles Barkley and Shaq, like, they put that in audio and form it as a podcast now.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell can the Good in the Hood podcast get people inside the NBA?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a crowd. It's getting crowded and watered down.
Yeah, I think that's what's that really sucks about it, and that's why capitalism sucks. Because they just have money to just spend and market and just throw their stuff on and that's why people, like what I was just saying before, like I have to be my one person, not one team. One person has to distribute my content to all of these different platforms, because that's the only way that I'm going to find out. Like, if I'm gonna blow up or not, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And at least that's what I think. And if I'm wrong, anybody listening to this, please hit me up. RunTMC 3215 on Twitter.
Shit, hit me up too.
You know what I mean? Like everywhere. Like tell me what I'm missing, because it seems like you have to frequent all of these different I hit the mic, sorry. All of these different avenues and all these different platforms in order to get your name out there and figure out and hope that one of them pops, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's what sucks, is that all these companies like inside the NBA, like Breakfast Club, iHeartRadio, they're like, that's another thing. Like, isn't there a conflict of interest there for them winning iHeartRadio? I don't know.
Or they
But
iHeartMedia now. They changed to iHeartMedia now. Exactly.
it's insane. And so that's what I think. It just sucks because people like us that are trying to get things genuinely and organically, you can't really do it because there's machines behind a lot of different other things. And it sucks. It sucks because there's a lot of people out there with good content.
And with you mentioning, just going back to your Twitch streams one more time, and mentioning subscribers and the fact people are able to pay money to support, even in the podcast space, and there's things like Patreon, like the different avenues you can use to get subscribers. And of course, we're also seeing, like, in the mainstream entertainment world, that the streaming wars are growing vastly. What do you think about the future of media with all these different paywalls?
The future of media with all the paywalls.
Because, like, I look at Twitch. If I subscribe to five Twitch people, that's $5, $25 per person. If I go to, if I'm on Patreon, if I'm on Spotify, if I'm on Hulu, I'm on Netflix, I'm on Disney, if I'm on all these things, I'm paying a stack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it is crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, like, we are definitely moving to a subscription based
Entertainment world.
Yeah, industry. Like it. I mean, and that's across all entertainment.
Now we got music and NFTs and shit. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, but it's also like,
it's good for the creators. It's great for the creators. It's amazing for us. So it's definitely a catch-22. It's a catch-22, but I just definitely want to get your thoughts on it as a streamer who's getting subscriptions now. Like, when you look at your subscriptions and you look at, when you guys subscribe to somebody else's, like, what do you look for when you subscribe to somebody else's content? Like, what sells you on putting money into content creator?
It's personality, I think, up front. I do normally only support Black streamers because they need the most support. But yeah, I think I look for personality and then also the gameplay, and they also have to be playing a game that I'm interested in. So I think there's like basically kind of two categories that you can be watching someone for. You can watch them for their personality, or you can watch them for their gameplay. And I think those are like the two ends of the spectrum. And I try and find somebody, like, if this is personality and this is gameplay, I try and find somebody like kind of right here, not too much in the middle, but kind of like closer to the personality stuff, because I want to be able to interact with you. I want to be able to talk to you and also see you do some cool shit on the game, or show me some shit in the game that I've never seen, or do some shit in the game that I could never do,
And talk about the difference between, like, doing the podcast when you're interacting with your co-host or maybe a guest, and streaming on the game and talking to the comment section and reading the comments. Like, talk about the difference in that.
The difference in that is that you can choose to ignore some comments if you want to. That's funny. But no, I think going from the podcast with my cousin and just understanding the chemistry that me and him had. I mean, this is a man that I've known all my life. So it's a very different dynamic. I mean, it's interacting with the person versus reading something. And it's kind of hard to compare, but I think it does prepare you for both. Like, either or prepares you for the both. Like, when you're conversing with someone on a podcast, like, I don't know if you've ever had this, but when I first started interviewing people, I would ask them a question, listen to what they were saying, and try so hard to think about what my next question was, that I would forget the question and not
They
even
won't
really
listen
hear what they
to
were
them.
saying. And then I'd be stuck. So what I would always say is, that's what's up. That's what's up. And you know what I mean? And then you're done. And it's just like, Tressie, like, think of something to say next. And so what happens in that instance is that since I had such good chemistry with my cousin, he would pick it up after that. And so we would start to understand, like, when the push and pull of like who has something next, it would be a nice flow. So that's something that's different with podcasting, because in Twitch, you don't have that unless you have somebody like in your headphones or like in your Discord or something like that. But you don't really have that. Like, you have to learn to ask more questions um, to these people. Like, if they're saying, "Hey, what's up?" you can say like, "Hey, how's it going? Where you chatting me from?" Or, like, learning to
Right.
interact with text is a little bit different. And so I think the fact that I noticed that about myself when I was in interviews, I kind of transferred that and made sure I did that on the Twitch streams.
So I gotta ask you, like, going back to like what we talked about earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
the questions you and your cousin asked about music and keeping up to date with music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that still part of your life? You still staying up to date with music? Are you still digging through crates of music to listen to?
Yeah. I still do listen to a lot of music. I wouldn't say that I'm into it as much as I used to be. And it's
Mm.
kind of refreshing because I get to find things kind of organically, except for like versus like really looking for something. And don't get me wrong, like the looking and the searching for it before was pretty fun. But when you do that for a bunch of years, like you kind of start to
Yes.
realize like being a little bit more lax in that,
Yes.
be more natural is fun, so
Yes.
so I'm good on that. But
I wonder if that's an age thing. I feel like now that I'm getting like older, like I hit 30, like I don't care
mhm.
about that much new music that much. Like if it's, I'm not looking for new artists to listen to. Like new
Yeah,
music is amazing, but new artists, I'm not looking for new artists.
I'm
I got enough artists to check out for now. It's too many, man.
I don't know. I think I like looking for the new artists,
I like
but
finding them. I don't like looking for them. I don't
oh,
like
there you go,
certain.
finding them, but
Yeah,
not
I like
looking. That
yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah, I like finding them, and I like I like kind of seeing where my music changes has been.
Mm, yeah,
Like I used to
it's
be
important.
like super into like all the hip hop everywhere. I wanted it all every day. And then I've learned that like a lot of my vibe now is very more like R&B. Even though I've always been R&B, but like I think I've kind of taken a step back from hip hop. Just again, when you make something like your job, like I treated it like a job, but it
Yeah,
was also a fun job. Like
yeah.
you tend to take a step back from it when you've kind of went so hard at it before,
I 100% feel that. I was Mr. List guy most of my
Yeah.
life in hip hop. Like, oh god, I had a
Oh, I
top 50.
remember seeing some of your list on
Yeah,
Twitter
I
and
had
shit.
it.
I'd be like,
Yeah,
man, this man going in.
you know what I'm saying? I had a top 50 and everything. I started
Mhm.
the podcast. Was doing lists like every week. I can't stand lists. The idea of
Mm,
lists make me queasy. Like, why?
yeah.
Does it even matter? Like, does it? Like, it's a new rapper every day. Like, everyone
Yeah.
can't be in the top 50. I'm not doing this
Right.
anymore.
Right. You could say anybody. I'll be like Joe Budden sometimes. Just be like, everybody in my motherfucker. This is my top 25.
Yeah. I'm saying I got three top 20s. I got three different ones. They
Yeah.
switch every day.
I
Yeah.
got 500 people in my top 25.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how it happens.
Exactly. Pretty much it. Like writing it down is definitely the most stressful thing I ever did in my life.
uh,
Like, why would I do that to myself? Like that
yeah.
was horrible. That was
One of the
horrible.
coolest things that we did, and feel free to steal this idea, is that we did a Madness bracket for
Mm,
rappers under 30.
mm,
And that was awesome. That was pretty cool because I think Vince Staples or Joey Badass, one of the two, they were the last two when we did it. And
mm.
it was just that's an interesting thing because that makes you put people's discographies against each other to really like dive into.
I got to find an episode like immediately because that
Yeah.
sounds interesting. I got to find an
Yeah,
episode
I'll try and link it to you after this. But yeah,
for sure.
um, it's an early episode. It's probably pre 100. Yeah, I can't remember, but I think we were doing it like every week though too. Just like saying like knocking people out of it. But that was one of the funnest things that we've done. And but that's what's cool is that we only started with like probably 8 rappers because didn't want to go crazy, and being able to go like put like somebody's discography head to head with someone kind of really like it gets rid of all the noise, you know? Like here's
Absolutely.
these 8 people, like start small too. Like here's these 8 people. These two got to go head to head. Boom, 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 you know? So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope. I'm definitely gonna check that out and try to
Mm-hmm.
think of my own. I definitely gotta try that
I'm
style out
telling you,
with you
use it.
for sure.
Use it.
And just
I
another
won't sue
question.
you or nothing. It's not. I'm not the first person to think of it, so it's.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. And
Yeah.
I want to ask you about like as far as 'cause in this creative space, we often forget about like we mentioned earlier as far as having to deal with social media and just the pitfalls and that kind of stuff. So like, and of course, this being 2021, like the mental health is always a thing that we have to focus on a little bit. How do you manage that? 'Cause I know for me, like in a way, podcasting helps with that, and in a way, it also I'm saying is a detriment to that.
Mhm.
So, how do you balance your mental health as far as and also your regular life and in your content creating world?
That is something I have not managed yet.
No doubt.
So I actually I asked on Twitter the other day, like, I want to know how streamers balance a relationship, a full-time job, kids, and do their streaming or whatever their passion is, content creation, because it's hard. It's very hard. I have a full-time job. I do have a girlfriend and I have these ambitions. I'm trying to take care of my health. I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to go to
Yeah,
sleep at a good time, because I know a lot of people be like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. No. When you sleep, you're going to die early. Like,
exactly. You gotta
let your body recoup. You know what I mean?
have an early sleep.
Exactly. You're going to have an early permanent sleep. But so like that's what I'm saying, is that like it's a very hard balancing act, and I think setting boundaries is really important. And so I think the mental health portion of it, I try and make sure that I have people around me. Like I have my stream team, shout out to them. But my stream team, like I ask them things all the time, like am I doing too much with this, or can you guys do this, or like I try and make sure that like I ask them to hold me accountable, and like um and I think everyone needs that, because I will sometimes get caught up in the numbers too, and I'll be like, okay, I'm at I'm at 15 average viewers this week. I was at 14 or 12 last week. What did I do well? And then boom, the next week I'm like, fuck, I'm at 10. Like that shit can fluctuate, and I try and make sure that my interpretation of those numbers isn't personal, you know, because you can take that
Absolutely.
shit to heart, because and be like, fuck, what am I doing? Do they not like me anymore? And that's really like some real fucked up shit to be thinking about yourself, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's all
Absolutely.
it's I think one of the things that I try and keep in the forefront of my mind is that this shit can go away tomorrow. Are you going to be okay? Like all these people that love you, all these people that support you can be gone tomorrow. Are you going to be okay with that? And I try and think about that quite often. But or like I try and like make sure I understand that I'll be okay without the stream. As much as I
Absolutely.
love the stream,
Yeah,
you'll be
absolutely.
okay without it.
Absolutely.
Um
Because like for me, I think about that in a sense as well. I also look at like for me, most of my listeners, most of my viewers probably aren't my closest friends or family. Like I'm pretty sure
mhm.
they're not the ones that I look at. So like I look at it like if this all does go away, I'll probably be unhappy for a while. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because this is I like doing this shit, but at the same time, at this moment right now, it's just feeding to a sort of a want that I have.
Mhm.
Not necessarily, it's not necessarily, it's not me. Like I can still create something else if this falls apart. You
Right.
know,
Yeah, and that's what I kind of learned moving from the podcast to this, is that I'm good at building things. Like, and I'm not very good at saying to myself that I'm good at doing things. That's another thing that I need
right?
to get right up in there. But like I'm good at building things from the ground up. I'm good at branding things. I'm good at creating something, like creating like a
Absolutely.
brand of some sort. And so
And
learning
you have a magnetic personality as well. You have a magnetic
thank
personality.
you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Um but yeah, I think another thing of this whole mental thing is like learning to praise yourself when you do something right, regardless of the the stature of what it is. Like understanding that like you got one person watching you, that motherfucker is watching you. One person is watching you right now. Like give them a show. You know what I mean? And appreciate that. I don't know. It's a constant struggle though for me. To go back to your original question though, I think it's a constant like balancing act of understanding to try and keep yourself sane, because this social media game, this internet shit can be a real detriment to your mental health, and just trying to make sure that you keep solid, steady people around you is gonna, you know,
Absolutely.
keep you grounded.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you as always, Tressie. This is a dope conversation. I'm glad to have you on here.
Sure.
And like I told you, beginning of the episode, like you, like through the crate and seeing what you guys doing, especially in Chicago, being one of the podcasts, the first podcast I seen in Chicago, I'm like, damn, that's dope what they're doing. I appreciate you for inspiring me there, and just hearing what you're doing as far as transitioning is inspiration to me and many other content creators. So keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it for real.
Thank you.
And we want to hear some of them beats and freestyles, man. I gotta hear it.
I'll try and see if I can find one on one of these days.
I'm gonna check the Twitch. I'm gonna check the Twitch out. I'm gonna get on there. For sure.
I hope you do. Come through.
Absolutely.
I'll roll out the red carpet for you.
and I know you shouted out to RunTMC earlier, but please tell me where they can find you and where they can buy your merch.
For sure. So RunTMC 3215. You can find me on all social media platforms. I believe that's IG. I'm basically only on IG, TikTok, and Twitter. Twitter's my main. That's my main bitch right now. So, so if you really want to get at me on Twitter. I'll respond to you a lot quicker on there. If you want to check out any of the merch or anything like that on Twitch, I am the same name, RunTMC 3215. The merch is in the link in my bio, my Linktree link. I do it through Teespring. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, you can also check out Through the Crate on Anchor, Spotify.
Get that back catalog.
Yeah, that back catalog for sure. Yeah, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. I believe it's on all of them still. So yeah, 130 episodes.
Anchor don't pay us nothing to do that. They don't pay us diddly.
You can actually get subscribers through Anchor, but you have to, like, they don't have like a pool that you can like a pool of consumers to ask for that. You know what I mean? Like Twitch, like Twitch has a lot of it. Yeah,
absolutely. And also, what's your schedule for streaming?
For streaming, right now we're on Thursdays and Sundays, and I'm playing around with the third day, but I try and stream at least 3 days a week. So Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, Sundays around 3 p.m. Central Time. You can catch me.
Awesome. I appreciate you again, Tressie.
Hey.
And stay good in the hood. Peace and love.
Hey, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you.